Sure, we all loved a bit of Twin Peaks back in the 90s, but did you know that Laura Palmer was actually inspired by the murder of this woman? Hello, I'm Sinead from the Poisonous Cabinet podcast. In the early 90s, all of us were asking who killed Laura Palmer, but we should have been asking who killed Hazel Drew. Hazel was a young woman working as a domestic servant for a very well-to-do family in the city of Troy, New York in 1908. She came from a poor farming family, but had managed to secure employment with some very wealthy families in Troy pretty much as soon as she arrived. Everyone said that Hazel was a kind, sweet, church-going girl, no boyfriends to speak on. But then on Monday the 6th of July, Hazel unexpectedly quit her job, simply saying to her employer she didn't want to work there anymore. She disappeared that evening on a mystery trip and was next seen walking along the very remote Taberton Road on Tuesday evening, alone. Despite the July heat, Hazel was wearing a very heavy, newly commissioned black skirt, dress shirt, and a hat with huge black plumes in it. The few passers-by who saw her said she was in a good mood, but this certainly was not an area that a young woman should be walking unaccompanied. Her uncle did own a cabin quite close by, but he claimed that he had no plans to see Hazel. No one would see Hazel again until 4 days later her body was pulled out of Teal's Pond. She had received a blow to the back of the head, and it was thought she was dead before she went into the water. The authorities at first thought this might have been a terrible accident, or that perhaps she had been assaulted by a stranger on the road. But then they started looking through Hazel's belongings. It transpired that Hazel had been writing flirtatious letters to dozens of men, despite never mentioning a boyfriend. These letters promised liaisons, mentioned meetings. Was Hazel leading a double life? And then it got even weirder. It turns out that in the area that Hazel was walking in, there was a well-known sex camp owned by a billionaire. And there were multiple reports that girls had escaped from this camp and claimed to have been held there against their will. Yet the authorities did not investigate. Investigations into her death were concluded very quickly, and no one was ever caught for her murder. Listen to the full crazy story on our podcast.